What's going on, you guys? Welcome to episode number 17 of the Gamefall Podcast. According to my calculations, number 17, yes. Already up to number 17. Way past using two hands here.
Way past using two hands.
I'm Kyle Sherman. This here next to me is Mr. John McVeigh. John, say hi to the folks.
Hi, everybody. I'm bummed because they're going to slow down Star Wars movies.
That was completely unprompted, so thank you for that, John.
Yeah.
Of course, we here at the Gamefall Podcast, your home for our analysis of video games and video game news of the week / every other week / whenever we can get together to record. So it's been a few weeks.
Yep.
It was a busy time, you moving, family health issues for me, so we should be getting made here a little bit more regularly, and we're going to be releasing these episodes on Wednesdays now because I need time to be able to edit these together and get them uploaded. So these will be coming out on Wednesdays. And John, should we just jump right in?
Well,
we'll kick things off.
Anything?
Well, I was going to say we'll kick things off with how we, typically like to do. And that would be with what have you been playing lately?
I platinum Spider-Man.
My man. My man.
So that was something I did since we last talked. Let's see. I tried to play more Hollow Knight and decided to give up for now. It's just like, because I don't really know anything about it. Like, I don't even know how far I am. And I still have no idea what the heck it's about. So I was like, But that's it. It is fun. So it's just that's not keeping my attention for now. The other thing I've been playing is I actually went back and I've been starting to play Xenoblade Chronicles. Right? 2. Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I think that's what it's called. It's Xenoblade. It's on the Switch. I can tell you exactly what it's called right now. Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
John's Switch is just off screen. So yeah, I mean, kind of bouncing around. I'm kind of in the same way. A little bit of a funk post Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. It sucks.
It is unfortunate. Assassin's Creed Odyssey out now.
But we haven't picked it up.
I have to wait to play that. Gotta wait till I get paid, starting a new job, so that's another reason for wanting to release these on Wednesdays. Just will work with my schedule a little bit better. So I'll be picking that up. I guess that would be on a week from Friday. Not to confuse anybody, we're filming this on a Saturday. This will be out Wednesday, so it will be a week and a half after this comes out. So unfortunately I won't be able to really get to that for a little bit, but I am excited. I'm ready to go. Been gearing up for it. What I've been playing mostly lately is Assassin's Creed Origins again. Second playthrough of that. Mm-hmm. But I just did New Game Plus, and I've just been neglecting all the side stuff, all the location clearing sort of stuff, which kind of tears me up a little bit inside. I'm very much like I like to clear the map. Yeah, and I really just wanted a refresher on the story, and just there were some details there that I was like trying to remember, and big fan of Egypt, and I was trying to remember too how the game ended because I wanted to see how it tied in with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because obviously that's set in Greece, but the Greek era had kind of ended at the end of Origins when the Romans took over Egypt. That would have been around the same time they took over the Greek Empire, and so I'm just curious how that's all going to play out in Odyssey.
Kyle, we have Assassin's Creed Origins, then we have Assassin's Creed Odyssey. What do you think about the next game being titled Assassin's Creed Omega?
It'd have to be the last.
But it would be a trilogy, and then they'd all start with the letter
O. Maybe. I don't know. But so I'm just curious how that's all going to play out, because obviously it's set after, because it's Assassin's Creed Origins, so it's the origin of the Order of Assassins, but it's going to be, I imagine it would be set in the Roman-ruled Greece.
Mm-hmm.
Not part of the Greek dynasty with, Alexander the Great or anything like that. I imagine it would be set after the fact. So I'm curious how that'll play out, and that was partly why I wanted to go back and do it, just kind of so I could have all that fresh in my mind when I do play through Odyssey, because, yeah, there's some things at the end of that game. I haven't beaten it again yet, but I'm getting close.
You're getting close.
The other thing I will probably be doing here, I guess I can save this for another segment, but just in terms of what I was going to move on to next, most likely while in the 2 weeks between now and when I can get Odyssey. So, we'll get to that later.
Okay.
But I'll give you a hint. It's not a new game, but I did get it through PS Plus. So there we go. All right, let's move into our news topics of the day. Not a whole lot here going on. We're going to go with you through 4 news items, and we'll start with the big one, John, and this revolves around the PSN. Folks, PSN name changes are coming.
They're real!
Hallelujah.
In beta form for PlayStation 4 testers, and a subset of that group, according to the video we watched on IGN. Also, it is noted that the change will only affect PlayStation 4 games.
Not even all PlayStation 4
and
games.
Not all. It's
the more
after a
recent
certain
ones.
date, yeah. And so because it's doing that, it might affect older games you try and play. It may affect the new ones you try and play. So they're allowing you to change your name once for free. And if it's buggy and you don't like it, you get one reset where you go back to your old name. Basically, they're just saying, hey, we're going to change it for the future. It's too hard for us to change it for the past. Because it is. Because your account was tied to the name you actually made. It wasn't tied to a number in the background, from what we understand. Again, this is from the video we saw on IGN and from Colin Moriarty on the last piece. I was listening to one of his podcasts the other day, and he had said that the people he talked to said that your account is based on the actual name you wrote when you created the account, not a number in the background.
One of the biggest proponents of allowing the name change, Colin
Yes.
Moriarty, formerly of IGN and kind of funny now of Colin's Last Stand.
Yeah, he's been championing that cause for forever.
For years. For years. Since the PS3. Since the PSN existed.
Since its creation.
But yeah, I mean, that's great news. Not really an issue for me or for you.
I like the name I made.
Yeah.
I was done making those dumb decisions by the time I had made my PlayStation account.
But John, you have to admit, you miss Sergeant Big Wiener.
It was stripped from me at an early age.
Are we going to address this? Or are we just going to move on? Just let that hang in the air? Your original...
Spelled like a wiener dog. And yeah, so anyway, there was a group, and I was playing online.
This was on Xbox.
Someone
Xbox
got
Live.
mad at Xbox and reported my gamer tag, which was supposed to be, funny for a adolescent kid, but it wasn't. It's not funny now. And so my name is now changed, and it's fine.
That's the one you stuck
Interesting
with.
side note, in order to change my name on Xbox, I had to log into Halo in order to change. I had to call their customer service and wait on the phone for like 50 minutes and talk to a girl, which was really awkward.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some.
I learned my lesson, and I didn't make the same mistake.
I've had the same name since I first signed up for Xbox Live, and I've incorporated that into
Future
the PSN as well, and likely stay that way too for any sort of Nintendo-based.
You can
services.
change your Nintendo name however many times you want for free, whenever you want.
Yeah, but I'm
It's
saying
just a nickname that shows up online.
it's consistency.
Which,
so.
hey, nobody's talking about that. They just get upset that you have to pay $20 a month. Never mind the fact that Sony's now going to make you pay $10 a month if you're not a PS Plus subscriber, or $10 per name change, or $5 per name change if you are a PS Plus subscriber, and that Xbox makes you pay $10 every time you want to change your name, aside from getting reported and being forced to change your name. Nope, Nintendo will just let you do it for free forever. So who cares? Rant over.
This is my John's ranting alarm. Just decided that's a thing now.
It's kind of distracting.
But John,
Yes.
there was some other news that came out along with the name change announcement.
Uh-huh.
And that will be our topic of the show, so stay tuned. We'll get to that a little bit later.
Dun,
Next
dun, dun.
news item. John,
Yes.
let you take this one.
Nintendo Switch, according to the Wall Street Journal, is going to get a revision sometime next year, possibly in the summer. They were kind of scant on details. And they didn't really even go in to say what would really technically be revised, necessarily. So, yeah, basically, people around the internet have been running with this like they're about to get a touchdown in some fourth quarter, 3 seconds left game, which is just kind of
I
silly.
love
to
it
me.
when you talk sports to me.
I love when you talk sports. They're like, oh my gosh, the new Switch, it's going to be so much better. No, it's just a revision. So it'll probably either be a better battery, a bigger screen, maybe even a smaller screen, I don't know.
Let's hope not.
Let's hope not. Probably not. It'd probably be a bigger screen. In fact, it probably won't even change the form factor. There's a giant black border, so they'll probably just get rid of the giant black border on the actual screen. And they'll call it the Switch XL or some random thing. But
Knowing
anyway,
Nintendo, it would be the XL.
yeah, that's even if they were even going to do that, which again,
Who knows?
rumored. They say that the mom and pop stores, GameStop, Walmart, Target, those, and I mean, they're technically not mom and pop stores, but the
Brick
stores,
and mortar stores.
Brick and mortar, thank you, that was the word I was looking for, know about it as well. I say, cool your jets, we'll wait and see when it actually happens.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is going to be one of those, like an XL upgrade with a little bit bigger screen, like you said, improved battery.
Maybe more memory. I would see more memory.
Maybe,
Like
yeah. So in my mind, it's going to be, one of those type midlife updates where it's not actually an update. People are saying, oh, Switch 2.0. No, it's going to be like Switch 1.5 or something like that, or 1.1.
Remember,
Where,
sorry, we have the 3DS, the 2DS, the 2DS XL, the 3DS XL, the new 3DS XL, and the new 2DS XL. So 6 versions of the same frickin' thing. So it's just going to be another version of the Switch. Your games are going to run on it. It's not going to change. Everyone, it's now 4K. No, it's not going to do that.
no. Anybody that's expecting that sort of update is going to be sorely disappointed and incredibly let down. This is... this isn't going to be that big of a deal. It's going to be, like the slim upgrades for the Xbox or the PlayStation where you're going to get a little bit more efficient, a little bit, I think they'll probably keep the same form factor, like you said. It's going to be a little bit more efficient because it's going to work with the docks. They're going to keep the docks the same.
I was going to say they'd have to be at least as thin so it can still fit in the dock.
Yeah, so it's not going to be a huge upgrade. It's going to be, sort of a midlife, like, just a little bit retooling, a little bit better screen, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit brighter, whatever. So, I mean, it's cool that it's coming, but I don't think it's going to be anything that necessarily causes me to hold out and wait for it. We'll see.
Nope.
I'm eventually going to purchase one. I don't know when exactly. We'll see how quickly money burns a hole in my pocket, which, we'll see. We'll see. All right, John.
Mm-hmm.
Next news item here. Telltale. The saga continues here for the downfall of Telltale Games, and this being that... I don't think we touched on this last time.
We didn't.
Because it's been a few weeks, but Telltale let go their skeleton crew that they were going to keep on, although they did, sounds like they'll outsource the finish of The Walking Dead, the final season game.
Yeah,
but now former Telltale employees are suing them for not compensating their employees, not giving them enough notice for mass layoffs, violating California law, essentially is what they're accusing Telltale of doing. And California law states that they're required to give, I believe, 6 weeks notice before they do any sort of massive layoffs. And when you lay off all but 25 of your employees, that's pretty massive, especially when you had more than 250 at one point. So that's, not good that they're not paying their employees and especially if they're violating California labor laws by not notifying them in advance.
They even hired people like a few weeks before they fired everybody. So they really didn't give any notice.
Yeah, and from everything that I've read from various sources, whether that be IGN, Kotaku, GameSpot, is that essentially what happened was a round of funding that they were expecting to come in didn't come in, and so they didn't have the funds to finish up what they were working on. And I guess I didn't know that Telltale was working on such razor-thin margins. And
really bad.
So, yeah, I mean, it was a quick downfall, but yeah, I mean, any sort of assets they have left could be in jeopardy if the court system finds them in violation of that California labor law about notifying employees before any sort of massive layoffs.
Again, listening to a podcast, they were talking about this with, it's called Sacred Symbols. They were wondering if, even if, they have every right to sue, but even if they win,
what are they going to get?
I mean, they didn't have money to pay them anyway, which is why they laid them off at the beginning.
Well, they could take money from future sales
okay.
From other properties, like whether that's, sales on The Walking Dead, like older ones, on all the future ones. There's a way they can get some money from them, and that could be including forcing them to sell off their IPs and that sort of thing. And there's ways for them to get money.
Okay.
But
that's good news at least.
Yeah, you feel terrible. I mean, they literally, employees go into work and then all of a sudden they have no job. And especially, a mass layoff like that, and being blindsided by that's got to be incredibly disheartening. So the saga kind of continues there. We'll keep our eyes and ears open to what happens with that. But kind of crazy sort of happenings there. Telltale in their downfall just sort of, I think, blindsided everybody. And I mean, just nobody saw it coming. And then, it just kind of snowballed on it.
Unfortunate for the employees and everyone affected by it. So, I don't really technically feel bad about, like the boss necessarily, because
that's a lot of this is on the higher ups. So,
because I mean, the bosses, they know what's happening, so they know when
they knew this was a possibility if funding didn't come in, that sort of thing. Exactly. It sounds like they stretched themselves too thin and bit off more than they could chew. And
when you're like relying on the next episode you release to determine whether you're going to be able to make any more games at all, that's a pretty thin rope you're on.
All right, John, our, I guess, penultimate news item of the day, before the final one, which I teased, would be our topic of the day. Microsoft has announced their global game streaming service, Project xCloud, the beta for that coming next year. This story coming to you from Adam Bankhurst at IGN. And for those wondering, Project xCloud is sort of what Microsoft teased at E3, where you can play any game of theirs on any screen, so you can play wherever, essentially. And public trials are going to begin in 2019, so they can learn and scale with different volumes and locations. And so, sort of this new streaming ability through Microsoft and Xbox is coming. I'm curious to see how it'll work, but coming in 2019, some public trials.
54 Azure regions and services that support 140 countries. So Azure is their server bank's name, technically. So
their newest, highest state-of-the-art.
The stuff that Xbox Live paid for to exist. So, I mean, that's already better than what the PlayStation did.
So and it'll allow you to pair a Xbox One controller with any device using Bluetooth, so you can stream, and you can allegedly you'll be able to stream using 4G and eventually 5G cellular services, or any sort of Wi-Fi hotspot. So it'll be interesting to see how that works, because as it stands, their current test experience is running at 10 megabits per second, which is surprising to me. That's a little slower than I figured would be required, but it'll be interesting to see how that works, and if sort of more of that remote play becomes sort of the wave of the future, whether it be on the Switch or being able to play your Xbox or PlayStation games on tablets or your phones or what have you. But it seems like the future's closer than it is further. You know, it's closer than ever. John,
Yes.
is it time?
It's time.
For our topic of the day. Our topic of the day, and this comes on the heels of the announce of the PlayStation Network name changes.
It's a great
PlayStation officially announces that they are working on the next generation PlayStation console, which we all assume is named the PlayStation 5, and this coming to you from PlayStation themselves. They say they are working and laying the groundwork for their next generation console with all these updates, with all these new changes that they're making. They're laying the foundation, and they're getting ready to go.
It's official, ladies and gentlemen. Anytime a Last of Us game comes to a console, you can guarantee that that's the last freaking game you will ever get from a first-party publisher from Sony. Ushering in a new console. I don't know. I'm just saying. Last of Us happened last time. Last of Us happens this time. I mean, come on.
I'd say we're probably still at least a year or two away, and The Last of Us will likely be out in the spring.
Plus, we still have Days Gone.
There's still a lot coming. A lot.
Dreams.
Is Dreams coming?
I don't know.
Really? Or
is it just
coming?
a dream?
I'm not convinced
Sorry.
it's an actual game.
Go away, Siri.
Yeah, I don't. We're saying Dreams, not Siri. Chill. So this is our topic of the day, John.
Yep.
Not so much this news, but what do you want to see from PlayStation's next generation console? Before I take the leash off, I know you have lots of thoughts, but let's try to keep this in the realm of possibility.
I can't guarantee that.
So, with that, John, go.
Okay, it needs to have at least a 2 terabyte, possibly, if they can make... Do they make these 4, 5 terabyte hard drive? If it's going to have a
It's
hard
not
drive.
common.
Which it probably will. Second, it needs to have a controller that can snap in half, and then you take the system and slide it on there, and it has a screen, and then you go wherever you want. You can play your PlayStation 5 games wherever you want. Then, when you're done, you put the screen back on the big system, the one that has the actual disc drive in it for 4K Blu-rays. Yeah, that's basically what I want. Everything else is fine. PS Plus is fine, the controller's fine, the games they make are fine. I just want a bigger hard drive, a portion of the system minus the disk drive that puts hard copy discs in to slide off so you can slap the controller on the sides, kind of like a Switch thing. And then they've killed off Xbox streaming and Nintendo Switch in one foul swoop. And that's, 4K gaming, actual 4K gaming probably is going to happen.
I'd assume so, because, 4K gaming is on the PS4 Pro, so I'd assume that would come. But yeah, that's going to be the big thing, is you're going to want 4K, HDR, all that will be standard. I'd say they're going to definitely up the horsepower, because we're running 4 gigs of DDR5? Or is it 8? 8? I'd assume we'd see more like 16 at least.
Probably
actually, 16 is about all that most things can support these days anyway. I've never heard of anything running more.
Well, PCs can do 32.
I know, but most things. I'm talking like... I know PCs.
I don't think they need 32. They just have the ability to use 32.
Yeah. No, nobody needs 32 at this point in time. Mm-mm. There's nothing that's going to take up that much memory. Unless you're trying to run video editing, audio editing, stream movies, and music, and
I want a longer
do some AutoCAD sort of things all at the same time. But yeah, in terms of what I want to see, I wouldn't mind seeing that, but to me that's not necessary, per se.
It's not necessary. I'm just letting them know what I want now, so that they have a better idea of what they should make.
I think that'd be nice to include, especially if it's something, like you say, can remove from an actual physical disk drive, because having game cards is kind of a pain.
Yeah.
Trying to keep track of that. They don't store typically as much data as a disc can store. You can't, do Blu-ray movies that way. But yeah, 4K is a must. I think you got to upgrade your wireless cards in your systems, because...
Yes, please. Please.
It's solid in the PS4, but definitely is on the low end of what I would prefer.
The range isn't very far.
We have pretty good internet available to most of the country now, but the PS4 launch, at least...
When my phone's Wi-Fi goes farther than the giant thing that sits under my TV, it's a problem. It's a problem.
Anyway, I would like to see a better battery life on the controllers. I don't think you need to mess with the controller too much. I
actually liked it.
Yeah, the PS4...
Keep the touchpad just so that all of your PS4 games are 100% backwards compatible.
The DualShock 4 is really good. I mean, you can maybe make some slight adjustments to it. And I mean very slight. Like, maybe just with the shoulder buttons at most.
And maybe the triggers.
That's what I mean. The shoulder and trigger buttons. I wouldn't mess with the main... The direction pad's fine. The stick placement is great. Like, they're a good width apart. The way it fits in your hand is flawless. You can get rid of the light bar unless you're actually planning to use that for something.
I think they're going to continue with PSVR, so they'll still keep the light bar, but just put a better battery in there. Also, 100% backwards compatibility with PlayStation 4.
Yes, please.
For the love of everything.
And hey,
100%.
And hey, maybe
there's no reason. You're on x86 architecture now. You don't... It can't not... It should not work. If you come out and you're like, hey, no. I'm going to be like, why? There's no physical reason why that won't work.
And it's time to start emulating all PS2 and PS3 games. Be able to emulate the PS2 and the PS3 to make that entire catalog available and be able to download those games to your hard drive for, like, through PS Now.
Yeah, so expand your downloadable titles on PS Now
to include PlayStation 2 and 3, and then make the 4 stuff backwards compatible.
And if you really want to, roll PSN Now into PS Plus. So you could ditch the free games and just have us always have PS Now as an option. That might be a bad idea, but it's an idea.
Well, and I'd probably change the way that PS Now works, too.
I feel like it's a little expensive.
Yeah, you gotta make it worthwhile. And I have thoughts on this. So, I mean, for PS Now, the thing that bugged me initially was you were paying to rent a single title.
Right? You could pay per title.
Or you could pay, monthly, have access to whatever. I don't want to rent. Let me purchase titles for cheaper. Because certain games, it wasn't even worth it to rent it.
So you're saying if it's on PS Now, it should also be a purchasable option in the store?
Yeah.
Okay.
Open up that entire catalog. Because, I mean, the amount of games 360 games I can play on the Xbox One is pretty good. It's a pretty good library there. So it's like, I want to see some of that sort of thing a little bit more. Because there's games on the PS3, PS2 that I want to play again. And the one now. I keep asking for, every time Tony Hawk makes a new game, I'm just like, just remake Thug. I want to play Thug.
Why is this not... Why? Why do people hate Thug? Why is this a thing? It was Skate before Skate was cool. And I don't even think Skate's cool.
It was 20 times better than Skate. I played Skate
I didn't have to go... I could just hit a button and it did what I wanted. None of the...
Didn't have to constantly do this with the thumbstick. Well, and
this is silly.
So do this to flip the board, and then you have to hit the triggers to grab the board. No.
It feels more realistic. It feels like you actually... No, it doesn't. You're holding a controller in your hand. You're not using your feet to run the controller. So no, it can't possibly feel like skating. That's ridiculous. Just let me use my face buttons. Like a normal human being.
I didn't buy Tony Hawk for a realistic skating experience.
No, I would go buy a skateboard and go outside. And then fall on my face, if that's really what I wanted to do. But it's not what I want to do.
I don't play Madden. I didn't play NCAA football for a realistic game. No, I wanted to blow everybody out 70-0. And I was playing on the hardest difficulty. I was pretty good, not gonna lie.
Speaking of rants, sim racing isn't really sim racing if you're using a controller. If you want the little pedal and the wheel, fine. That's about as close as you can get to simulating a car anyway, because you're already sitting. So, skateboarding, you're actively moving and standing around. Sitting on your couch and holding a controller is never going to be skating.
So we've gone off the rails a bit. But I guess that kind of just, all that kind of steers me towards, I want an improved, expanded PS Now that has a little bit, has a buy function, so I can buy those old games. I don't want to have to like...
I think a buy function would be cool.
Yeah, a buy function would be great. And obviously that emulation technology exists. And now if they upgrade the hard drives to at least a 2 terabyte, you have space on there to expand your operating system OS to include those emulators within that.
They can emulate the PS2 and PS1 games. From what I understand about
3's
the PS3,
complicated.
that's actual PlayStation 3-esque hardware that's being run on their end that you're then getting the video signal to, and then they're inputting your controller inputs back.
Which is why it sucks.
Which is why you get lag. So... And that's also why you can't download the PS3 ones. Can you only download the PS2 ones?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
But just build that sort of emulation software into it. I know you can do it. I have faith.
It's just going to take really long because it was a cell architecture and there's been no other cell architecture console ever.
Yeah, that was a big mistake, Sony.
Way to go.
And I'm glad you've rectified it with the PS4 and I'm sure to be this PS5. I swear if you go away from the x86...
Do you see what happens when you use proprietary technology? Do you understand now? Do you get it?
There's a reason why I never bought Sony cameras either. Like back when cameras were a thing. Like, like pocket cameras or whatever. Because Sony required proprietary
hookups,
cards, batteries, everything.
Batteries, cords. It's just ridiculous.
No.
You already got money when they bought the camera. You don't need more money.
That's, I own my camera's a Nikon, so there you go. I didn't buy the Sony mirrorless camera.
What do you think the shape of the console is going to look like?
That is a good question. I saw somebody, with their own rendering that kind of looked like a modified version of the PS3 combined with the PS4 a little bit. So it had the rounded sort of middle, but it's had more angular on the outside, which I hated, by the way. I didn't think it looked cool. But it was interesting to see.
So it's like an oval rectangle?
I think, yeah, it was weird. It was so oval, and then it kind of got skinny, and then it was more like the square. I'd like to see sort of similar style to the PS4. I like more of the angular look, and I think it fits in more with the other boxes I have sitting underneath my TV, my cable box, my Xbox One, my any sort of those things that I have underneath. A more square style fits that. Like I have the PS3 Slim, and it just looks so out of place.
It looks like a George Foreman.
It does a little bit. So I just wanted to stick with. I'm not saying it has to look like it, but I just wanted to stick with more of a rectangular shape. But I like the PS4 and how it's, got the angle. It's the, parallelogram type shape.
I'd like to have it look like a bowling ball, so that way when it dies, I can just roll it off a cliff.
I will say, these launch consoles have been the best launch consoles I've ever had.
Yeah, it's going strong. I would like just, I don't know, maybe similar to the PS4, but I'm guessing it's going to have to be bigger. So maybe not too much bigger, like maybe an inch. I could see like an inch. Like, I would go taller, not wider.
Yeah.
If you have to make it bigger, just go taller. Because you're already pretty short.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the only thing that would limit it that way would be cooling. I mean, I think that's usually the biggest reason for size is if you have too much stuff in there running, you're going to need a bigger space so it can cool better, so you can get bigger fan in and stuff like that. But hey, guess what? The Xbox, remember the original Xbox One? It was huge.
It basically was just a metal grate, or a plastic grating around all the components, and the fan was just there to make noise, basically. So you knew
to make you think it was cooling. But I was talking about the size of that thing. It was massive.
It's huge. It takes up everything.
The Xbox One S I have is just plenty big. Plenty big.
Just right.
It's a good size. But yeah, I wouldn't expect them to go away from that necessarily. I'd expect it to still be black.
I might expect they'll probably switch it up so it's shinier than matte this time.
See, I like the matte because the matte doesn't scratch. The shiny plate on my PS4 is all scratched up from all the moving and transporting it's been through. It's been around. It's been places. It's been to, multiple states.
Maybe some third-party vendor will sell a pop-onable matte plate.
I was actually a little surprised that the whole, removable plate. I was surprised they didn't make some. Because remember, the 360, you could change out the faceplate.
That was cool. I had the Mass Effect one.
You gave me a Assassin's Creed one.
Yep, when I got the Mass Effect one.
He knows me. How did you get the Assassin's Creed one? Did you buy it?
I bought both of them, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I went to the store.
That was when, you still thought you liked Assassin's Creed.
I did like Assassin's Creed. I liked it. Past tense. I just haven't played any new ones yet.
I'd say Assassin's Creed 3 broke you.
I don't know that it was 3.
I think it was 3. I think 3 broke you. You played Black Flag.
I started playing Black Flag, and then I really hated the end of 3, because I was like, that's it.
Because you found out.
Why?
Yes.
I go, it's like everything Ezio went through was meaningless. I don't know.
There was lots of things. Assassin's Creed 3 was not my favorite. Assassin's Creed 2?
What broke me was Assassin's Creed Liberation for the PS Vita. Horrible. And not because there was a lady as the protagonist, because the game mechanics were crap.
But see, and you want to, I played it briefly for you. And we've just gone completely off the rails now. We're not talking about the PS5 anymore, so, if you want to stop, you can stop, but we're going to talk a little bit longer. You had me play Liberation, and the whole costume change mechanic to do whatever you needed to do
frustrating.
Made me not want to play it. And then I got a Vita, and I looked at it, and I was like, do I want this? And I was like, nah.
And it was offered to you for free. Because it was on PS Plus, and he actively didn't tag it as purchased.
I didn't want to support that at the time.
And now you know. So what?
And I tag everything as purchased on PS Plus.
What exclusive deals would you like to see for the PS5? What franchises would you like to see them steal exclusivities for?
I'd like to see them continue to control the Spider-Man. I'd like Marvel to just stick with.
I was gonna say, I don't think you have to worry about Spider-Man because they already shored that up a long time ago. But Marvel, yes, that'd be. You know what? Xbox, you can have Batman.
DC, yeah.
You can have DC.
And that's the thing. I guess I've heard allegedly that another Arkham game may be in the works.
They just kept getting worse. They kept getting bigger.
Okay, yeah, you didn't like the size of the maps and stuff like that, but I really enjoyed it. All 3 games.
They're good games. They never surpassed number 1. Just because number 1 was so tight. It was cohesive. It didn't feel like stuff was just tacked on just to be there for filler. It was like, no, this is everything that you need, and that's it.
I never played Arkham Origins, because I heard it wasn't made by Rocksteady, and that was like, well
everyone said it was bad. So.
Well, yeah, and I was like, well, it's not made by the actual studio, so.
And now everyone says it's good. I don't understand.
Make up your mind, people. That would be like if somebody else made the next Spider-Man game.
It would be like...
It needs to stick with Insomniac. And you could tell the care in the TLC was put in with the Arkham series with Rocksteady. They put in their research, looking at the character bios. Every time you met somebody new, they said, when did they first appear? They had all this information. You could tell they put some care and some thought into it in making their own little Batman universe.
It would be like...
And just like Insomniac did with Spider-Man. And somebody else comes in and they're using essentially this universe you've created, but they just, you know, you can tell they didn't...
They're basically taking cliff notes.
Yeah.
Didn't put in the work. Everything. And they're like, oh, that sounds cool.
So that's why Spider-Man is sick with Insomniac.
It would be kind of like Peter Jackson not making the Hobbit trilogy. He already made that bad enough by himself. Imagine if someone else had come in.
It didn't need to be a trilogy, was the thing. 2 movies, tops, man. 3 was a bit much. 3 was a bit much. The second movie, I was just like, ugh. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's, I guess, our tangent there. So, John, before we wrap things up, what you going to be playing?
Xenoblade. It's decided. I'm not playing any more Pokemon until the next Pokemon comes out. So, sorry, Ultra Sun. Just gonna have to be unfinished.
That would be Let's Go Pikachu. God, you're such a shill. Anything Pokemon, John's just like, take my money. Just making it rain on Nintendo and the Pokemon Company.
As long as it's video games.
Well, no,
I won't shell over for Mystery Dungeon or any of those. But
as long as it's a sort of a mainline thing. For me, as soon as I beat Assassin's Creed Origins, which is not far off, I will probably start on Deus Ex Mankind Evolved.
Human Revolution?
No.
Mankind Divided?
No. Whatever.
Humanity Divided.
Whatever. No, whatever the PS4 one is.
Deus Ex number 2.
Yeah, whatever the
PS4. The new
oh my
games.
God, this is gonna bug me now. But
I'm gonna say Mankind Divided, but that's just me.
It is Mankind Divided.
You're welcome.
I was combining it with
Human Revolution.
Evolved. Whatever. Human Revolution.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So you actually played that one. I didn't.
It was good.
So I'll probably give that one a try. I got it for free on the
full PS Plus.
PS Plus free games, and it's one I want to try. It just wasn't high on my priority list, and it probably won't be one that I finish. At least not right away, because I'm planning on playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I'd also
will finish within a month, because that's just how you work.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll probably take about a month though. It'll take some time working.
You usually finish an Assassin's Creed game in a month.
Yeah, it just depends how much downtime and stuff I have. So, yeah, that, and then I'll probably end up purchasing Tomb Raider at some point in time.
I have no interest in playing that game.
I know.
Unfortunately, I feel bad,
I've heard more positive things about this one than I did.
2 kind of ruined it because I didn't finish it.
Yeah, 2 wasn't as good, but I've heard this one's better than 2.
They lost what made the scope of the original game good. Scoping is what I'm going to call it. Too much scoping.
So, I mean, that's on my list, but it's, ways down. Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of the immediate future is playing some Mankind Divided.
Excellent.
And seeing what that's about, and then eventually some Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which you'll definitely hear all about on here once I get around to that. So with that, I'll wrap things up here for episode 17 of the Gamefall Podcast. Woo-hoo. He's John McVeigh.
He is Kyle Sherman.
We will see you next time.